Hey guys, so it's late. It's really late at night, and I've been on vacation for the last week, and in that time I have managed to read four books, two of which I really, 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 really liked, and two of which I didn't like so much. So I decided to make a video. So yeah, here I am. Aren't you excited? Okay, so first book I want to mention is Odd Thomas by Dean Koontz. Um, wasn't really thrilled with this book. Um, for me, I'm kind of hit or miss with him, kind of like how I am with Stephen King. Some books I like by them, and other books I just can't get into. And for those of you who don't know, Thomas is about a young guy who lives in Pico Mundo, California. He's like a short order cook at this diner, and he sees dead people, including the ghost of Elvis. And yeah, the premise is really good. I like the way Dean Koontz writes. I just felt like the story was dragged out way too long. So I only ended up giving it 3 stars on Goodreads. So there you go. Next up is a book that I kind of went against everything that I always preach about as far as Kindle books goes. I paid $13 for this book by an author I had never read anything by before, which is like completely opposite of what I usually do. Because, I've bitched about this before. I think paying any more than $10 for a Kindle book is ridiculous because if you're going to pay over $10, you might as well just get the regular physical copy of the book. But I had heard so much about this, and everybody said how great it was, and I loved the concept of it, and I decided I would give it a try. And it is The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. So, this book is sort of a twist on the old Strangers on a Train story. It's about a guy named Ted who gets a little drunk before a flight, and he meets this woman in a bar, tells her that his wife is cheating on him, and he says, wouldn't it be great if I could kill my wife? My life would be so much better. And the two of them sort of enter into this very strange, complicated plot to kill his wife. That's not even scratching the surface of what this book is about. This book was fantastic. It was well worth $13 I spent on Kindle. I'm very happy that I decided to go for it, not wait like a year for the price to drop on. It was a true mystery. Had no idea where the story was going. There was not one, not two, but three major plot twists in this book, two of which completely shocked the hell out of me. And this is a perfect example of the problem that I had with Gone Girl was how not one single likable character in that book, and it was pretty much the same with The Kind Worth Killing. However, it was so well written and it was so engaging and so interesting that it didn't matter that I didn't like the characters because I just was so addicted to the story. So this was fantastic. Definitely going to be on my list of favorite books of the year. Now, as soon as I finished that book, I immediately went to Amazon and bought his other book, his first book, which is called The Girl with a Clock for a Heart. Unfortunately, I did not enjoy this book nearly as much as The Kind Worth Killing. This book has gotten mostly very, very mixed reviews, and I can definitely understand why. It's sort of messy and disjointed, and it's a very short book. It's only like about maybe 250, 260 pages, but it still seems rather long. It's about a guy. He meets this girl in college, and they hit it off. They're inseparable, and they go on Christmas break. She goes home, he goes to his home, and they don't contact each other until he goes back to college and finds out that she has committed suicide. And jump ahead several years, like 20 years later, and he's in a bar with his girlfriend, and he sees somebody, and he knows that it's his girlfriend from college. This is just really messy and kind of clunky, and just, yeah, I didn't really like it that much, and I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads. Which brings me to the last book, which I just finished, which is the reason why I'm up so late tonight, and it's called You by Carolyn Kepnes. Probably screwed up her name, but what can I tell you? Anyway, this book is really, really difficult to try and sum up in a couple of sentences. It is set in New York City, and the main character is this guy named Joe Goldberg who runs a bookstore. And at the very beginning of the book, he meets this woman who comes into his bookstore. Her name is Guinevere, but she goes by Beck. And immediately he decides, he's very taken with her and he wants her in his life. And he will literally and figuratively do anything to have her in his life. This book is probably the craziest, most insane, most cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs book I have ever read in my entire life, and I loved every freaking second of it. Let's just put it out there. Joe is crazy. He's very damaged. He's very mentally unstable. You're getting the whole story through Joe's perspective, and because you're in his head so much, he does all of these terrible, horrible, terrifying things. But because you're in his head and you're reading it from his perspective, you kind of understand why he does what he does. And that's the scariest thing of all, is that you understand. You don't condone, but you understand why he does what he does. And that's fucking scary. The things that this guy does are pretty damn horrible. And you don't hate this character. You actually like reading about him. You like being inside his fucked up head. Maybe that's just me, and if it is, then I kind of feel weird right now. And it was just such a great book. It was like I couldn't stop reading it, I just couldn't stop. And when I wasn't reading it, the few times that I was not reading it, since I started it yesterday, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about the character, and I was trying to figure out, well, what the hell? How is this going to end? It can't end well. There's no possible way that this book is going to have a happy ending. And, I couldn't stop until I finished it. And so there's going to be a second book, and it's called Love, and it's being released, I believe, September 5th. The blurb on Amazon is kind of worrying me. One of my favorite things about this book is how dark and twisted and demented and fucking batshit crazy this guy is, okay? And I like seeing how twisted he is, and I love the fact that the author wasn't trying to water it down. She completely went there. She went about as far as you possibly could with this character in this book. And the fact that she's doing a second one, I'm excited that I get to read more about him, as scary as that might sound to some people. But I don't know. I'm sort of a little worried because just the blurb sort of makes it sound a little almost kind of wacky. And Joe is not a wacky character. There's a lot of black humor in You, which I loved, but the premise of the next book kind of sounds a little silly to me, and I'm just really hoping that she's not just writing a second book because she can, you know what I mean? Not because she actually has another story she wants to tell with this character. But whatever. I've already pre-ordered it, and like I said, it doesn't come out until September, so I'm definitely going to read it, obviously. It's just, I'm a little scared. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I absolutely loved You. Fantastic, fantastic, and it's one of those books that has been getting a lot of buzz and a lot of hype, and it definitely deserves it because there's nothing out there that's like it, and it's definitely worth losing sleep over like I have over the last couple days. So obviously I gave it 5 humongous stars on Goodreads. I actually gave it 6 stars. So yeah, those are the 4 books that I managed to read over the last week. I'm on a roll, people. Hopefully I will be able to keep the momentum up and keep reading, and yeah. So I will talk with you guys later. Thank you for listening to my babble, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye. Happy reading.